would you rather live a full life and within the next 20 years then you die, or live up to 100 years more living with full regret of everything that you've done or haven't done?
I ain't living with regret. That's something I think about a lot. Because like right now, I'm in a season of thinking about December. When December comes, I do not want to be the same person.
Same. I'm not playing.
Because we can only live this year once.
Yeah.
And I hate...
And the year's already halfway over.
Like, oh, I'm gonna start next week. Oh, and the next thing you know, it never happens, and I have that regret, and I just don't like that.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing for me, is just being consistent in what I say I want to do and showing up every single day, because the time is not gonna change for you.
Yeah.
The clock is gonna keep ticking.
Exactly.
So the main thing for me is showing up consistent. What areas am I lacking in, and where can I improve in order to get to the next goal? Like you said, by January 1st, I do not want to be in the same place. I do not want to be still talking about how I want to build a team, how I got these big goals for every team made it, and all of that stuff. It's like, what's the next move?
I feel like regret is human. I feel like that's just a natural thing. I feel like you can regret things as small as what you wore one day to an event. I feel like that's normal. I guess when I think of life, I want a full life.
What does a full life mean to you, though? What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. It's your girl, Yanni.
Hey, let's get it. It's your boy, Travion.
Hey, y'all. I'm Jada.
All right. So, yeah, we're going to start. Let's get it. Let it rain. Clear it up.
You got a question, Jada?
So, okay, I got a relationship one. Would you rather date an entrepreneur or a 9-to-5er?
Let's talk about it.
Entrepreneur or 9-to-5er?
I don't know.
Okay, what's the pros of an entrepreneur?
They understand, you know, more free time.
Yeah, like
flexibility.
Like if y'all want to go and take a trip and just take a trip, then y'all can.
Yeah. The cons of it would be y'all may not always get to see each other.
Yeah,
Right,
like y'all are both busy.
Yeah.
But also y'all could be each other's best business partner. As far as like you have an actual you have somebody there who could actually see and help your business grow, you know? So having that partner who could be a value to what you're doing. Yeah. I would say the con is it depends on how big the other entrepreneur is. So if you're thinking like super high level, like if I'm dating a super high level entrepreneur, that man is most likely super, super busy. Like when we think of people like David or Neo or whatever, they're like very busy people. So I don't want a man that's too busy. Right. But I get it. Like you got to make money. But I don't think I want a man that's too busy. Actually something that just popped in my head. A man that basically has a personal brand. Because if you're a personal brand, that means you have to be the face of everything. You have to be involved in everything. True. You got to show up for the webinars. You got to show up for all of this stuff because you're the face. You got to show up on Instagram. But I could be with a successful entrepreneur who has a successful business that he's not the face of, and because his company, it runs without him. So I feel like it would be much easier for him to step away opposed to a man who is, like I said, like, you know, like Neo or someone who is always like they're the face of their business, so it requires more of them. Yeah, I think I could be with the other type of entrepreneur, someone who's not necessarily like a personal brand, but with a 9-to-5er, I don't know.
With the personal brand or even just the entrepreneur in general, I would say the con that I'm thinking about right now is one of y'all businesses can be going up and the other person's can be either declining or staying stagnant. So then in that moment, you kind of have to stay conscious or, you know, aware that let me not get jealous over my partner. If they win and I'm winning too.
That's a good point. I mean, depending on where y'all's heart is, jealousy. If y'all are both entrepreneurs, jealousy could enter their relationship. Right.
I feel like if I'm in a relationship with a business owner, their business is my business and my business is their business, even though mine is mine, but I'm going to look at it as I'm going to help you as if that's still my business, you know?
Right.
I only know actually one young entrepreneurship couple. I don't really know a whole lot. The only one I really know is I can't think of the Airbnb couple, Bryson and Anaya. That's like the only young entrepreneurship, like they're 21, I think. The only young entrepreneurship couple I know, but they do it together. So like they're doing the same business together. So I feel like stuff like that works easier opposed to like if y'all are doing different things, like y'all are working on the same business together. Or even EJ and Mecca, they're pretty young
Now,
and they do the same thing.
what if you find an entrepreneur guy and he wants you to stop your business? He wants you to close it down, you know.
Heck no.
That's a
Why?
good question.
So
Why?
okay, so
He gonna take care of you. He's saying like, you don't got to do this no more. I want you to close down your business. Hey, what's good? It's your boy Travion from the Growing Painz Podcast. Hear me out. If you would like to promote your dope products in our episodes that last forever, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and email us to receive our sponsorship package deals. Now, let's get back to the episode.
So God
Stop
told
what
me
you
that
doing.
before. He said, I want you, you could be a stay-at-home wife or something. But then I realized I already stay at home. Like I work on my business from home.
Right.
But I was just like, no, because I guess how he was raised or whatever. But I had to realize this doesn't necessarily apply to me. But how he was raised, like when it came to kids and stuff like that, his mom would take off from work for a couple years or whatever to raise the kids and all of that good stuff, and that would be her main focus. But that's not something I would like want for myself. And so if a guy told me like, oh, like stop what you're doing just to focus on being like a wife or whatever, I don't think I could do that just because I would get bored.
What if he wants you to be an investor into his business? Like,
Investor and stop my business, or like just invest and I still have my business going?
no, stop your business,
And invest-
shut it down,
Nah.
and invest your time
That
into
can't
his.
happen. That can't happen.
But then you get some shared.
invest my
I don't care.
you're saying
Dang.
I shut down my business and I help build his dream.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of like men, not a lot of men want, but I do think that is kind of what like a good amount of men want is someone. Okay, and I get caught up on that sometimes because in relationships it seems like you're supposed to build up the man, which I'm not saying is wrong, but what about also building up the woman? Or like, so a lot of times I feel like in relationship it's about the man's vision and what he wants, but I also feel like I know I have an amazing and incredible vision too.
Exactly.
And so sometimes I think about that, like I have to have a partner that supports that. And not saying that there
Yes.
isn't people out there that wouldn't do it, but I don't think that I could be with a man who wants me to stop my vision to support his. And so sometimes that makes me think, for me, I know I have like $1 billion vision, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't know if I could be with a man whose vision is just as big, because if I know everything that goes into me and what I'm building, then I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it will require the same for him, if not more. And so I just don't know if two people with really huge visions, would they really be able to make the time for
That's
each other?
what I was thinking when you asked that question.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, my vision for Wise Label is huge. That's why I'm like, no, I can't just abandon that. And I know that my business is going to help people too. So I feel like abandoning my business is abandoning people that I help. And it gets deep for me. So I'm like, I can't just do that.
Yeah.
If anything, I would like for him to help me. Maybe if he's helping me in a very important role that he can master in my business, I don't mind that.
You would like him to help you and still keep his thing going, right? Because now you
I was
playing.
just saying I wouldn't mind it. If somebody had to abandon, I would rather him abandon, honestly.
Nah, that's crazy. I feel like you can't abandon. Neither one should abandon a vision.
Right.
What I'm
So-
thinking is maybe you can begin to build a business together. What can we come up with together as a unit?
I like that.
But if I'm
build
already
on.
building my thing and you're building your thing, we still got to come up with something to build together.
Yeah. Why not?
So, okay, I believe in purpose mates as far as like if somebody's really your partner or if someone's really your person, then y'all purposes will align for y'all to work together, to be together. So I believe in purpose mates. So I feel like whoever is my purpose mate is not going to be someone who, like all the stuff I just explained, right? I feel like whatever he does is going to align with what I do. Not saying he has to do exactly what I do, but what we do will, our strengths will help each other. Our purposes will help each other's, and we will be able to grow together. We'll be able to become one in all ways, but especially in our purposes, and we'll be able to work together and move towards whatever life we want. So I do agree. I don't feel like anybody should have to shut down what they want to do for the other person, because I feel like that builds resentment.
Right.
Especially like me being such a purpose-driven person, I just couldn't see myself telling someone or expecting someone to stop doing whatever they feel like was put in their heart for them to do. So,
and to clarify what I said, let me clarify. For the sake of the question, if somebody had to abandon, I would say that I would rather them abandon, because I know my vision is big. Yeah. But of course, I wouldn't want either of us to abandon. Hopefully, we can just come together and just do what we do, you know?
Right. Because like what you said about resentment, it's also going to build regret. So the next question would be, out of would you rather live a full life and within the next 20 years, then you die, or live up to 100 years more living with full regret of everything that you've done or haven't done?
I ain't living with regret. That's something I think about a lot. Because like right now, I'm in a season of thinking about December. When December comes, I do not want to be the same person.
Same. I'm not playing.
Because we can only live this year once.
Yeah.
And I hate...
And the year's already halfway over.
Like, oh, I'm going to start next week. Oh, and the next thing you know, it never happens, and I have that regret. And I just don't like that.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing for me, is just being consistent in what I say I want to do and showing up every single day, because the time is not going to change for you. The clock is going to keep ticking.
Exactly.
So the main thing for me is showing up consistent. What areas am I lacking in, and where can I improve in order to get to the next goal? Like you said, by January 1st, I do not want to be in the same place. I do not want to be still talking about how I want to build a team, how I got these big goals for every team made it, and all of that stuff. It's like, what's the next move? We gotta get to it.
I feel like regret is human. I feel like that's just a natural thing. I feel like you can regret things as small as what you wore one day to an event. I feel like that's normal. I guess when I think of life, I want a full life.
What does a full life mean to you, though?
Well, one of those things, I want to live a long life. I want to be able, and I guess this kind of goes into the other option that y'all mentioned, but I want to be able to use all of my years to use everything inside of me. So use my gift in every type of way. Like Vera Wang, she's like old as heck. Incredible designer. She started her brand at 40. Incredible designer. I want to say she's probably like 80 something years old. Super old lady, still modeling for her own brand. And she looks good. Like she is snatched. She looks incredible. And she is still 80. And she is out here with the best of them, still designing, still creating, still living her life. And I want to be there to experience my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, all of that. And so dying it, I mean, if I lived for 20 years, and, you know, I did all that I could with no regrets, I still feel like I would miss out. And we're talking about like legacy and stuff. Like I built this life for my family and all of that. I still wouldn't be there to experience that with them. Still wouldn't be there to enjoy all of that with them. I want to be able to see the fruits of my labor. It's a lot of people that die without experiencing the fruit of their labor. The one artist, I can't think of his name right now. The one that cut off his ear.
I can't think
of his name. White guy, orange hair, super famous artist. Let's say Picasso, but I don't even think that's his name. I think it's another guy.
Yeah.
But he did not sell any of his paintings at all, like while he was alive. Well, no, he sold one painting while he was alive. Once he died, it's almost like that's when his purpose was fulfilled. Once he died, that's not when his purpose was fulfilled, but basically once he died, that's when his art was discovered. And now he went his whole life without being able to sell his art. Once he died, his pieces are like, one painting could be worth $80 million. He has thousands of pieces, each of them worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. He did not get to experience any of that. He doesn't even know. He's dead.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, he created a legacy. Let's say he created a legacy and that money was able to go down to his family or whatever. But he was not there for any of it. So it's just like,
I mean, but is there fruits of your labor if you have, like, when you say, would you rather live that long with regrets? I'm thinking you lived a wasteful life. Like, you don't have no fruits because you ain't labor nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not thinking of it that way. I'm thinking of it as the normal human regrets that we have. Like right now, there are decisions that I regret, but still my life is good. Like the regrets I have don't make my life bad. It's just a lesson that I learned, you know?
I feel as though it's all about perspective.
Yeah, so I just look at it as I have regrets right now, but I'm still here. I still really love my life. So if that means I get to still feel this way right now, like I still get to continue doing, like building my brand, building my legacy, building my life and still loving my life while also making mistakes along the way, and I might regret some of those, then that's okay because I get to live to 100 and I still get to be there for my family. I still get to be there for my friends and I get to enjoy everything, you know?
If that's the case, me too.
Me three.
Yeah. I feel like regret is based off of perspective. So if you regretted something, what didn't you get done that you feel as though it's the end of the world? Why can't you reinvent yourself throughout that time? You can reinvent yourself. You can establish yourself in a new season. Every season is gonna look different. You feel me? So you may be in one area, some may not work out. How can you shift that brand or whatever it is that you may be doing? How can you shift in order to get to the next level? You don't have to be remembered as one thing. You don't have to live in one phase of your life. You can move on to the next thing.
That's true. Yeah. Somebody I follow says, if you're not becoming new, you're getting old, and nobody likes old. Yeah. That was a bar. But what's one regret y'all have?
Well, I was going to say something about regrets too. Okay, well, real quick, I'm going to answer that. But I think the type of regrets that I don't want to have are like not acting on like an idea or okay, so y'all already know I've known I wanted to be a designer since I was 7. I would regret not fulfilling my purpose of being a fashion designer. I would regret a life where all I did was only focus on work and business. I would regret a life of if I spent my life being a bad person, or in other words, not healing from my traumas and still having the same heart throughout my whole life and like passing that down on to my kids for them to deal with. I would regret stuff like that, but because it's like at that point you came to this earth and didn't do what you were supposed to do, and also you didn't care enough to get your heart, your spirit, your soul right, or to work on yourself. You didn't care enough to work on the things that you needed to internally. So now you also pass that down to a new generation of kids for them to repeat a cycle. Like those are things like that. Or even like I always think about how like beautiful the world is. There's so much beauty around the entire world. Some people never even leave their city or their state. They stay in the same neighborhood their whole lives and never get to see any of it. I would regret not being able to see all the beautiful things God created. And I know we can't see all of it, but seeing a good amount of it, like that's the type of stuff I would regret, because you went to heaven or wherever you go. You went there without even experiencing earth at its fullness. And so that's the type of stuff that I would really regret. But like normal regrets that we have now, I'm okay with those because I feel like that's just a part of like human experience.
I feel as though regret, it don't really live with me for too long.
Yeah.
I feel as though everything is an experience and it's in order for me to grow. So only regret that I could think about is just not being apologetic to people, hurting people, and not having too much pride to speak up and say, my apologies, I did this. You feel me? I shouldn't have moved that way. I shouldn't have did this to you. Yeah. Because a lot of times we could play victim in the story when you could have been a victim in somebody else's story. Yeah. You feel me? So you may, this person is doing this to me, this person is doing that. But what role did you play? You're the common denominator in everything. So in what part of the story do you fit in where you are the one that is allowing somebody to be a victim
Right.
in their story.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Because we're not always the victim. Sometimes we are the person that's causing
Yeah.
this
Definitely.
So that's the only thing I would regret is just not being apologetic to people.
Yeah.
I would say something I regret is wasting time being in my own head.
That's good.
That is good.
When in high school, I spent a lot of time being in my own head and letting that affect the way I lived. And I regret it. I mean, but the thing is, I would say one thing about at least the type of regret we're saying, the good thing about it is like we grew from it. So at the time, we didn't know necessarily it's something we're going through, because sometimes when we go through things, it's like it's supposed to be happening, like, you know, like this is just normal to us, at least because we've been in it for so long. But then later on you look back and you say, dang, I was like tripping, or I was actually in my head. Like for me, I could look back and say, oh, I was in my head too much. But at the time I didn't know I was in my head. I just thought it was normal to overthink and stuff like that. But
So what
Yeah.
things are paralyzing you in that moment while you're regretting stuff, or while you're not moving because you're scared, or you may be fearful to make a move? What's the
What
few things?
specifically?
Yeah.
I would say one thing was, I remember I had this like big season of my life where I was struggling to figure out who I was. And I was trying so hard to be, I didn't know who I was. So then I started to try to be like other people because I didn't know my own identity. And so I just think I was in my head too much, like, girl, you are who you are. Love yourself how you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I were to love myself of who I am in that moment, I feel like life could have been more fruitful. Who knows? I could have been way further than I am now.
Hey y'all, what's up? I know you're enjoying the episode, but real quick, we wanted to take a second to talk to y'all.
Hey, pull out your phones right now and text the word GP Crew to the number down below. Let's get it.
Go do that right now. You're going to get updates about new drops, events, and so much more.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let me get back behind the camera. Let's get it.
I say for my regrets that I probably have, many of them have to do with people. As far as like, I had talked about this before, to y'all, but when my grandfather died, it was the day after my grandmother's birthday. And so I always like would talk to her on her birthday. But sometimes you just think like, oh, I missed the call. Like I could just call them later. And so on my grandmother's birthday, I knew it was her birthday. But I think I was like working the whole day. And so I kept reminding myself like, oh shoot, like I need to call her. But I would keep starting back working. And then, like I just kept forgetting to call her. Then it's like 9:00 and I'm like, hey, you still up? So I could call you. She didn't answer. And so, well, she didn't text me back. The next morning she texted me saying, I'm gonna call you later. I'm on the way to the hospital with your granddad. And then in that moment I was like, dang, like I felt it in my heart, even though he wasn't sick or nothing. I felt it in my heart like, dang, I think he's about to die. And then they called me and it was like he had died. And so I regretted taking that for granted, like taking time, like taking the fact that you could just call somebody, taking that for granted. I regret that. Like same with my aunt. When she died, I regret like when I saw her for the last time, she had cancer. When I saw her for the last time, that was my only time seeing her sick because they wouldn't really let us see her. And me and my aunt were like this. Like at her funeral, like all her coworkers and stuff thought I was her daughter because she would talk about me all the time. But I remember my last time seeing her, I avoided her. Like I could tell she wanted me to come over there and talk to her. But I was so scared. I was like 11. I was so scared because she looked so different that I had never I had a bunch of like family members that had cancer before, but we never got to see them sick. So that was the first time ever seeing somebody sick with cancer. She was so skinny and her hair was gone. And I was scared, but even that I regret. I wish I would have spent like more time with her then. So like a lot of stuff has to do with people, or even like it's somebody that I like owe an apology to right now. One of my friends from growing up. And I had like a self-awareness moment. and I had realized that I needed to say sorry to her. But I just never figured I would go say sorry. I feel like it's been like 5 years since we talked. I feel like, do I really need to say sorry? Like just let the relationship be done with. But it's like at least I know where I'm wrong now. At first,
it's a valuable relationship though.
And that was the thing. That was like my sister. Like we grew up together. I think we was in daycare together. Like who's like this? But because of the relationship I lost with her, we had a whole friend group that I basically grew up with since elementary school, and because of them, like being on her side, I lost like a whole group of friends, which was like my family. And so I had it's something that affected me for a while, because it's like that's literally like my sisters. But it's been on my heart like the past couple of days. Like I should just text her and say I'm sorry, but I think it was like a pride thing. Like, oh, I was just getting in my head, like not wanting to be the person to like speak, you know?
Yeah.
And so now that's been on my heart, like to say sorry. And I try and think of moments where, when it comes to people, I try and think like, if they were to die right now, are there things like left unsaid that I feel like would need to be said? And so if there are things that are left unsaid, then I feel like we should say them before anything happens.
Yeah, you gotta be like, you just gotta, I feel as though apologizing, it takes time. Like, is it too late now to say sorry? Hey, you feel me? So I agree with you on that. And definitely we can be so caught up in what we got going on in our personal lives. That's honestly how a lot of relationships die down, is because when you get older, it's like, all right, I got to tend to my life. I got to tend to whatever phase in your life you're in, whether you got kids, whether, you know, you're in your 20s. I know y'all just came at me talking about, oh, you just got in your 20s, but you feel me? It depends on what the situation or the phases in your life, but you have to remember who's most valued to you most, because you may be hanging around a bunch of people and nobody care about you like the people in your inner circle do. You feel me? And even going back to what you said, you have to ask yourself, what do you know to be true? So that just simply means, what do you know to be true? What lies are you telling yourself each and every day that is becoming bigger? What you feed will grow. So it's almost as if you're telling yourself a lie, you're going to begin to believe that lie. It's going to become bigger than what it actually is. So my thing is just, what do I know to be true? I know that I have a family that loves me. I know that I love myself. You know, I know that I have something great going for myself, and I'm not going to mess that up. So you got to ask yourself these core things and stay in tune with yourself, so that way you could keep growing, keep moving. If somebody don't like you and they're sitting in amongst the room around you and they're making faces and all this whenever you walk in the room, then that's not your person. You feel me? You can't go based off of what the next person don't like of you. You came to see, if you are in my space and you came to my space, or you came in my presence and you don't like it, you can go. I don't need you. You don't have no value or say so as to who I am and what I represent. You feel me? So that's what I feel like we have to learn over time. In high school and all of that stuff, we may have self-doubt, we may have flaws and different things like that, but you got to ask yourself, what do you know to be true?
That's true. And two things I was thought about when you were talking. One thing is the whole knowing about who your friends are, or knowing who's not on your side and who is on your side. It's like, if you don't know me from a grain of, what they say, grain of salt, grain of something, if you don't know me and like you're having all these opinions, it's like, you're not going to be there at my funeral. You're not there to open doors for me, or there to help me out, or you're not in my inner circle. So it's like, why would I value something you're saying? You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say, some people can have good constructive criticism.
That is a good perspective.
Yeah, some people can have good constructive criticism and they may not be in your inner circle. But I guess you just have to take it to yourself and don't just take it and be like, oh, they said this about me, woo-doo-woo. Like, say, okay, they said this. Well, let me look within myself. Okay, let me ask the people who's around me, what do y'all think? What do y'all see about me, and stuff like that. And then I was thinking about when you said the whole, what do you know to be true thing, and then how what you feed grows. The Bible says, I always say that's the Bible. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is. And so whatever you're thinking about yourself, you know, you're going to become. And then it just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So for the longest time, I thought I was dumb, right? And I would just continuously tell myself, oh my gosh, every little thing I would blow it out of proportion. Oh my gosh, I did this. I'm dumb. I'm dumb. I'm dumb. And I just kept telling myself that. And I let the enemy tell me that, and I was believing it to be true. And next thing you know, I'm walking as if I am this.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, and also you find evidence for whatever you're looking for. So with me telling myself that everything everybody else was doing, I'm like, oh, they just did that because I'm dumb. Or like I started finding evidence, and it just become this whole
creating scenarios in your head.
Exactly, and that's what I'm working on, like not projecting false scenarios into the reality. But yeah,
you have to think about what you're thinking about. So if you're thinking I'm dumb, if you're thinking these negative thoughts, you start to pull from different places.
Exactly.
You start to read people and may misinterpret what they say, what they mean, how they look at you, how they feel about you. Somebody may tell you they like. One thing I learned as I was getting older, there was this one girl. She dealt with like a lot of insecurities, and everybody like is telling her like, bro, you're pretty, like you're all like you have the personality, you have the energy, you have the talent, all of this stuff. But it took, like, she's there now, but it took her time. And you can't tell somebody something that they don't believe themselves. So you can tell a person you're smart, you can tell a person you're beautiful, you're handsome, all of that stuff. But if they don't believe it themselves, then nobody can help them. That's a self evaluation that you have to take on your own. You have to self-reflect on your own and take it within.
Hey y'all, it's Jada from Growing Painz Podcast, and guess what? We are now offering ad placements for our episodes. So if you have shoes, candles, wigs, food, whatever it may be, if you want to see it featured on an episode, all you have to do is email us and ask about our sponsorship ad placement packages, and we'll send that information over to you. Now back to the episode.
Yep. And then also I feel like that also ties into where you're placing your confidence. Are you placing your confidence into what people say, how people view you, and what they're saying about you? Because that can always change. The trends are moving throughout the world. Or are you, and for me, this is coming from a Christian perspective because I'm Christian, or are you going to place it in God? God says he will never change. And so when you place your confidence in God, that's a stable foundation because God is never going to change. Who he is today is who he was 50 years ago. He's never going to change. So when you place your confidence into that strong foundation, it's like, I don't care what you think about me. What I care about was what God thinks about me, because he's never going to change. You may think I'm pretty today. Tomorrow you may think I'm ugly. And if I go based on what you think of me, my confidence is going to go like this. I'm never going to be happy with who I am. But if I place it in him, he says I'm created in his image. Boom. That's what the word says. What the word is written, the word will never change. So
I feel like that's easier said than done, though.
It is. It takes work.
I feel like, everything when it comes to like God and a relationship with God is easier said than done. Like,
of course, everything takes work.
So it's just like it's easier to say I'm gonna care more about what God says about me, but we hear God, but we also like physically like are hearing people on earth telling us things about ourselves. We can hear someone tell us, oh, you're a failure, you're this, you're that. God's voice is a lot quieter than everybody else's voice, meaning you actually have to listen to God. You actually have to honestly even have a relationship with God to hear his voice.
His word.
So it's just like, and even, it really depends on, like, I feel like the strength of probably your relationship, but I still feel like it can be hard when you have a society around you, a community around you, or just people around you in general, telling you that you're something or you're this thing, you aren't good enough, you're this, you're that. It's, and even like we've talked about like negative self-talk, you know, like you telling yourself these things, sometimes that is much easier to overpower what God says about you. But I do have one more question for y'all.
Okay.
So I know we all care about like goals and like the life we want to have and all that good stuff. But when it comes to that, I guess I want to know, like, where do y'all draw the line as far as okay, I know somebody that's very, very, very successful, but has lost everything, meaning family, because of the type of person they are. No family wants to be around them.
Yeah.
They can't keep a relationship, like a romantic relationship. They can't keep a marriage or anything because they have all this money and success, but their heart is still so messed up. So if y'all were to gain like all the success that y'all want, but you don't have anybody to enjoy it with, you don't have the family, but the visions, like say y'all have the exact vision that you see in your head, or you have, like when it comes to your business, you've reached all the business goals that you have set in your head. You get to travel wherever you want. You get to experience so many beautiful things. You get to donate to charities. You get to do all this stuff, but you don't actually physically have people there to love on you, like in your actual circle. Is it still worth it?
Is it worth it?
I mean, like, is that okay? Like, is that okay? Like, you've reached every single
all the goals.
Yeah, but not actually have that. Yeah, that
the
family,
love, companionship, support,
exactly.
all of that stuff. I feel like by then it's not really worth it because, I mean, it depends on what do you want.
So, are you okay with not reaching all of your goals, but still having that family?
But love? I want to reach all my goals and still have that love. So for me, it's almost as if you have to know exactly what you want for your life. You may not know. You got to know your core values.
For sure.
What is it that you want for your life in order to achieve it? And once you know that, then you can go down that path and go and aim for that. If you want the goals and accomplishments and all of that stuff, but you don't want the love, then you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot. And when you sacrifice a lot, you're gonna lose those people. Those people are not gonna be interested in you. They're gonna look at you a different way. But it doesn't matter what anybody says. It's about what you want. If you want to be alone and in the desert and I'm locked up, they won't let me out. It's like, you feel me? If you want to be, just lonely and just doing your own thing, then go ahead. So be it.
Yeah, that ties into what my book was saying. Remember about, I think it was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The wall you're leaning your ladder on. Yeah. Basically, I don't know if y'all read that book before, but it's basically the ladder is the success you're about to attain, and the wall is your core values, which you stand on. So if you stand on, I need to make sure my family is good while I climb this ladder. I need to make sure I'm growing as a person while I climb this ladder. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of my body as I climb this ladder. Then those are your core, that's your foundation you're standing on as you're climbing that ladder. But some people may say, forget my body, I just want the money. Yeah. But for me, I want to still have the love, because what's success if you don't have love in
people
your
to enjoy it with?
Yeah.
Or if you don't have people to bring to the table with you and they can't eat as well and they can't provide for their families, like what is it worth by then? And even with what you said of just your emotions going everywhere because you're comparing it to what everybody else think. We were just talking on camera before we got on camera where you were saying how with designing clothes and all of that stuff, you were comparing yourself to other dang, and I did the same thing with graphics. So now I'm self-defeating myself. I'm dang, I just lost the word. I'm like, no. I'm just destroying myself basically. And I'm now comparing myself to what the next person did, not realizing that this person may have done it way longer than me. Exactly. They may have been doing it way longer than 5 years, 6 years.
Okay, so I'm gonna be devil's advocate real quick. So we say we want the love, right? But are we actively stewarding over the relationships and friendships and the relationships we have with our family now? Because I feel like we've talked about that too, about how we could talk to certain family members more. Like we could spend more time with them. Like we could spend more time than we do with them. We could talk to them more than we do now. And so my point is, I feel like sometimes you sacrificing the relationships with your family and loved ones could not even be intentional, but you may not realize until you reach the top, and then you're like, oh shoot, I made it, but where's everybody at? And so I feel like it's something that you have to be like intentional about. Like, I don't call my family as much as I should now.
Same.
But I know I spend I talk to y'all. I talk to y'all about business and growing pains and stuff like that. Right. So
what we doing? Who we shooting?
Exactly. Yeah. But I don't make the same I talk to y'all way more than I talk to my family.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in order to get to that point to where you do reach all the goals, but you still have that love and that companionship and all of that stuff, I feel like you have to be intentional about it now. And that doesn't mean you have to spend every single hour talking to your family and stuff like that, but I do think it requires like more intentionality. I feel like sometimes, yes, sacrificing things like that isn't intentional and you may not even be aware of it. It's something that just happens slowly, like over time, like little by little, those relationships are weakening, or, you know, like there's a disconnection, I guess, forming like over time because, oh, I missed the Christmas, or oh, I missed the birthday, oh, I missed another birthday, oh, like we used to talk like once a month, now we talk once every 6 months. Like it's literally something that just happens over time until it's just like, oh, I haven't talked to them in a couple years, but oh, at least I'm successful now. I'm way better in a way better position now than I was a couple years ago.
It really all just depends on like what do you value the most.
True.
So yeah, I like that. Of just overall, what is it that you want set for your life, and what are you telling yourself? I feel like that's the overall point.
Yeah.
Of what we're saying. And we got the live crowd in here.
Yeah.
Let's get it. So we hope y'all enjoying it.
For sure.
I want to know if y'all possibly have like anything that y'all want to add before we wrap up.
Questions?
If we can.
No. Oh.
Y'all have nothing?
Okay.
Do y'all have any regrets?
Well,
what's one regret you have?
You come up? Yeah. You come up, we go to the mic?
Yeah.
Come on, girl.
She got the dope accent. Let's get it. Yeah.
I would say a regret I've had is like being in my own head, wasting time. Like if I know I'm gonna do it anyway, I may as well just like feel the fear and do it anyway, as opposed to allowing fear to hold me back, slow me down, and just like block me from my own blessings. So I really resonated with a lot that you guys said. I think this is an amazing podcast.
thank
you. What about Miss Self-Love?
Yes, you know, we was talking about the self-love.
She got the great energy. Go tap in with the brand.
So definitely one of the regrets I have is just, I guess, not realizing how important self-love actually is. I wish I would have learned about it way sooner in my life, especially in my 20s. Because I would have done a lot of things differently, mainly loving myself, going on that journey for real. So now I wouldn't be looking for it outside of myself and making all the mistakes that I felt like I made if I would have known otherwise. So that's one of the biggest ones. So
Yes.
Ebony,
Y'all go shop the brand.
Shop the brand. Self-love.
Definitely. Yes.
We got the executive assistant in the building, the big stepper. Yeah.
I think the biggest regret I have is not being able to, at the time, recognize the opportunity of a lifetime during the lifetime of that opportunity, right?
Oh, yeah.
We fumbled the bag.
Yeah.
Right? But at least now I'm able to see what it was that he saw for me. And I'm able to mentor and coach our age groups and younger to being able to recognize opportunities when they are being presented and how to capitalize.
Yes, I love that.
And then what about the greatest producer?
Ever.
Yes.
So, like,
Let's get it.
So what do I regret? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So honestly, I probably would regret not being able to tell people like no. Growing up, I was always a person that just try to be a superhero, make people happy all the time.
People pleaser.
Oh, all the time. But
Yeah.
you know, as you get older, you realize that your time is valuable and your peace, protecting your peace is most valuable. So
Yeah.
that's probably what I regret the most. Yeah.
I feel
Okay
that.
then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the end of this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. You feel me?
sure.
I just want to rock with you. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Let them know where you can find us. Go ahead, Yanni.
Yes, and I also want to say, make sure y'all, if you're not tuned in or subscribed, subscribe to our Spotify and Apple, iTunes, right?
Yeah,
Apple
Music,
Pod.
Apple Pod,
Spotify,
yeah.
all that.
So yeah, Yanni Brasher, y'all can follow me, and y'all can shop my Christian inspirational brand, Wise Label.
Yeah, so you can follow me. My personal brand is Royal Travion, and you can tap in with my creative agency, Royalty Made It. We've been established. We're working with many content creators and entrepreneurs, providing them great first impressions. And yeah, let's get it.
And I'm Jada Ellis at I am Jada Ellis on Instagram, the best couture fashion designer out there. And you can follow my brand at JAELL official on Instagram.
Yeah.
Period.
All right, and to end it all, man, my name is Ronzel Teague. I'm the producer of the Growing Painz Podcast. And I do a whole bunch of other dope stuff on the Social Proof Network. You can follow me on all platforms at Legendary Zell, because the goal is to be remembered. Long got thrown dead and gone. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Yo, we out.
Y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
Zell, you forgot to do this.
I did.